A very good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present over here, teachers. Thank you so much for joining on another Super Sunday workshop. And this time we are getting into an interesting topic called as micro teaching. I would like to thank all the teachers who have been consistently participating, and right now participating today is quite an achievement. Why? Because just now the holidays got over. It's not that easy for anyone to actually go to the school tomorrow. And if somebody's back at home ready to gear up for the school tomorrow and then still attending this workshop, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. A lot of gratitude to all the people out there. Many queries had come last reflection form stating that we would like to have so and so topic, and one of the topics was micro teaching to quite some extent. How can it be applied in the class? Actually, interestingly, this topic is not for teachers to do something with the students. It has got something to do with the B.Ed colleges to be done with the teachers. It's as simple as that. So basically, it is about how to teach, and for that there is an agenda called as micro teaching. We'll talk about this in much more detail rather than talking it from layman's perspective. A little technicality by Dwight Allen, Dwight Allen, in 1961, proposing this concept called as you know no I'm wrong with the year, I guess. I'll check that. I'll come back to you. I'm wrong with the year. So, with respect to the topic of micro teaching, it's all about a practice that a teacher can give to the students. Now, giving to the students is a different ballgame altogether because it is not the intention of micro teaching from the objective perspective is to enhance the teaching skill sets. Can we really, or is it really necessary for the teachers to do it for the students, for students to be ready as a teacher? It's a complex question actually. Let's understand this. For that, I would like to share my screen. Okay, and this is how it looks like. uh yeah, so it was actually micro teaching, I'm right, in 1961 or 1961 to 1963 in Stanford University. I'm really sorry, I got confused for a moment. Too many years in this particular session. Let me not touch any of them. I'm sharing the screen in 3, 2, 1. You'll be able to see the complete screen. So, micro teaching skills, Super Sunday Workshop Series, session number 133. For all the teachers who are looking at this for the first time, I would like to tell you that you could go to this website called as superteacher.in, and right over there we have a column called as events. And under the events section, you'll be able to see Super Sunday Workshop, CS Gems, Super School Leadership Workshop, National Coding Olympiad, Seesaw, Computer Science Teachers Award, etc. etc. You could click on Super Sunday Workshop and you'll get to see that for following topic. So we are there in micro teaching, and next topic is quite interesting. That's called as Waldorf education. I'll repeat it. Next topic is related to what exactly is Waldorf education. Just like we have IGCSE curriculum, ICC curriculum, CBSE curriculum, we have a curriculum called as Waldorf curriculum or Waldorf education. So who's Rudolf Steiner and what exactly did he do with respect to Waldorf? There are many schools in India coming up with Waldorf education system. We'll talk about that in the next Super Sunday workshop. If you would like to know what are the sessions that we have done in the past, I would like to request you to please click on the archived link, and you will get to see the old Super Sunday workshop. So last week we did on staff room culture. We spoke quite interesting thing about staff rooms, the cupboard, the chair, and a little bit of politics as well. And then we got into conflict resolution in the previous session, ADHD, the science of revision, the psychology of convincing, computational design thinking, blah blah blah. We had huge number of sessions. Today we are there at 133rd session. 133rd Sunday. If anybody has crossed more than 50 Sundays, oh, that's a great achievement. That's a huge achievement. Let's come back to the topic because 50 Sundays plus is basically 1 year of continuous efforts to wake up in the morning. You're right. You're right. 1963. Yeah. Happy World's Teachers Day, everyone. Is that so today? Okay, okay. Let's start with the session. So, micro teaching skills, Super Sunday Workshop Series, session number 133. Let's understand what exactly it is. Have you ever come across a scenario where you practiced teaching something to your fellow teachers before teaching it to your students? It could be fellow teachers, or it could be your, in a very informal way, probably your husband, probably the your children, or probably the area students. I have this beautiful scenario where some of our teachers who used to teach us in the school, these teachers used to have the tuitions going on. And always the tuition classes used to be ahead of the classroom classes. Same teacher is able to complete the portion at lesser time in tuitions, but in the school they are not getting the time. I don't understand how. I hope all my teachers who taught me are looking at me right now. I'm just from sarcasm perspective. So there, people actually what they do is use the tuitions as an opportunity to prepare for the chapter on what they are supposed to do it in the class. So this phenomena of practicing before actually teaching something or actually communicating something falls under the category of micro teaching. So I think most of you have done your B.Ed. You would have definitely gone through this term multiple times. Some people have this habit of talking to their pet animals. I saw one teacher, I remember Sushmita ma'am, who used to talk to her cats and dogs. So she had got two cats and a dog, and she used to teach them. And it used to be quite funny while I look at it. And what was seriously interesting about is the dog and the cats used to actually listen. They used to sit idle. In fact, the cats used to even yawn. Just one way of projecting what you're going to do the next. It also got exaggerated to a format where the teachers practice teaching in front of the mirrors. I mean, they look at themselves, they look at their body language, they look at their expressions, and if their expressions are not good and they thought it was actually good, many times this happens. You think your actions are really charming and people are loving you the way you look, but when you do it in front of the mirror, then you understand how pathetic that was, and then you come up with a modulation and then you change your style and things like that. So mirror plays an important role on what you are exactly, especially during the teaching concepts. So is it really about just the looks? No. Is it really about the actions? No. Is it really about questioning? No, there are a lot of other things coming into play, which you'll understand in today's session. So this particular aspect is basically called as micro teaching. So micro teaching is a teacher training technique that provides a scaled down teaching experience. I'll repeat it. When we talk about scaling down in terms of all the three stakes over here, what are these three stakes? We'll look into in the next slide. Teaching experience in terms of time, class size, and the content to help teachers develop specific teaching skills through practice and feedback. Practice makes a man perfect. So as many times you practice a lesson, as good you are. Sometimes it happens that when you teach the same thing again and again, there are chances that you get uh you know bored out of it. People call it as cognitive fatigue. I'll repeat it. Cognitive fatigue. So cognitive fatigue is about I'm sorry, you're really bored of a certain system of or certain jokes that you repeatedly keep cracking, and you're like, no, let me not put that again. Micro lesson taught to a small group of learners in a small time. So first of all, the content is very small. You're not covering a very big chapter. Probably if light is the chapter, you're taking the subtopic, probably reflection of light or refraction of light, or you go even little. We're talking about micro, right? Probably today we're explaining the concept of critical angle or total internal reflection. Let's go even more specific. And probably we're talking about density of a particular medium. I hope you're able to understand. So the broader topic of science got concise to light, got concise to reflection and refraction. It got concise to probably critical angle or threshold value. But what's really important is the density of a particular medium defining it. Now, this is my way of arranging. A science teacher can have their own way of arranging, uh, taking into considerations what's micro according to them. Similarly, if I have to talk about English, probably we talk about grammar, or under the grammar we talk about probably figures of speech, or we talk about nouns in particular, or we talk about proper noun in particular. You're understanding the hierarchy, right? Getting specific and specific and specific, as specific as possible, to the deepest of points, to the core point, and starting the chapter from there. You could consider the last two or three layers of hierarchies, and then you can call that as micro teaching. So micro lesson, a small part taught to a very small group, hardly 3 to 4 students, maximum 10, not more than that. 5 to 10 peer teachers or colleagues, and in a very small time, and this time should not exceed more than 10 minutes, again according to me. So it should be 5 to 10 people, 5 to 10 minutes. Probably the chapter could be with one or two micro topic. That's it. Why is it scientifically spoken so much? Scientifically it is spoken so much because one of the psychological point that Benjamin Bloom mentioned about is, in order to learn something and attain mastery in it, I'll repeat it. In order to learn something and attain mastery in it, it is not macro teaching that plays a role, it is a micro teaching that plays an important role. The students, if they are learning the concept of electrons and protons and neutrons in an atom, and if they are able to relate that small part to the solar system, is actually the skill of a teacher to make the child observe that connect. I'll repeat it. If a teacher is able to imbibe the quality of minute observation by the children or by the learners onto any topic and connect them, that can happen only with micro teaching and not macro teaching. So when Benjamin Bloom actually spoke about mastery of learning is the ability of someone to attain mastery in a particular learning concept. Now doesn't mean that if they've attained mastery in a particular concept, they're going to become a scientist in that area. It's just that they've got a very clear picture of how probably centrifugal force works in case of protons and neutrons, or how a light works, or what exactly is electromagnetic wave, or what is the concept of socialism or communism. All these are coming from perspectives point of view, and that can happen only with observation. And you would have also noticed that the people who have got this knack of observing small things and able to connect that with their real life or some sort of connection, they might have wow factors at multiple occasions. It's like, hey, wow, how nicely this is connected to each other. Hey, wow, how nicely my mother-in-law's character is connected to my, husband. That's not wow generally, but you're irritated, but you're able to connect that. So the person who is able to connect those dots brilliantly will have better sense of emotions. That's from psychology perspective. Let's not get into that because today's topic is not on that area. But the point is, more than macro teaching, which is on considering the larger chunks of chapter, micro teaching allows a particular learner to get into the zone of the smallest topic, to execute mastery in future. So what exactly is the objective? Mastery of a particular learning. That's it, as simple as that. Now let us understand why. What are the key features? Duration 5 to 10 minutes per lesson. Number of students 5 to 10, who are mostly colleagues. Focus one specific teaching skill. That's it. Now we are talking from teacher training perspective. So it could be one of the teaching skills. You can mention some of them. Some people are really good at storytelling. Okay, they're extremely good. But some people are not really great at questioning. They might be good at explaining the chapter, which comes under the category of explanation, but the way they ask the questions, they might lack in that. Some people are very good at asking questions and getting the answers from the students, but they are not really good at explaining the concept for the wrong answers. I hope you're getting indirectly what I'm trying to say is it is very easy for a teacher to identify what the children have understood, yeah, because they get the right answer. But it is very difficult for a teacher to identify what the children have not understood. Yeah, that is where misconception comes into picture. That is where competency based education questions in assessment form, they very clearly mention it is never about the right answer. It is always about the explanation to the wrong answer. I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it. It is not why this is correct. It is about why not this is correct. Nice, no? So that will give more clarity. So some people are not really good at questioning. So these are some of the aspects that a particular colleague can tell. Probably you remember in one of the sessions, I think in the staff room culture, we mentioned about a pair of 52 with 25, a senior teacher being paired with a young teacher. Now here it's not just about the age, but the experience comes into picture. There are a lot of times a senior teacher might learn a lot of things from a young teacher. It could be pedagogy, it could be curriculum, it could be assessment, it could be technology as well, in these days. However, this exchange does not really happen often. Micro teaching could be a feature, a regular habit by a school leader in the school with which this can be incorporated. That's why this buddy teaching system came into picture. I'm not sure, if you have come across this. Buddy teaching is a fantastic option. So if anybody asks how can we do micro teaching in a school setup, well, you have a free period, call the PT teacher or the music teacher who've got no idea about what you're going to teach, and teach them. And if they are able to listen to you, that's great. That means your micro teaching is done. Sometimes in micro teaching, the feedback that you receive from the colleagues may not be relevant, but it'll allow you for a platform to talk on that particular topic before going to the class. That's a very interesting perspective. Let us get into the topic on that particular area. So feedback, immediate and constructive. Ma'am, you have used the word called as detect. Detect cannot be understood by the students in third standard. Probably you can use another word. it detects the light. Probably it senses the light. Yeah, because sense organs are there. So probably senses the light could be a better word. So this is a constructive feedback which got then and there. So this is one, beautiful part. There are certain steps to micro teaching. We'll look into it. They are basically teach, feedback, replan, and reteach. But they write it in 6 steps. This is how it look like. This is how it looks like. First is you plan the session. That is identification of the micro topic that you want to take. And then you go and deliver it. Teach. Who are we teaching to? We are deliberately teaching it to the peers, the teachers who are present in the class. And then we go to the next section where we get the feedback from them. We get the feedback from your own colleagues stating that your teaching is very bad or your teaching is very good. And I would like to request you to try to choose a teacher who's not really in good terms with you. you know you can go and do that only when you have got a lot of confidence in yourself. It'll allow you to go and talk to a scenario where it's very uncomfortable. And the best part is the other person who's not really in good terms. Now, when I say not in good terms, it could be various reasons. It could be competition between the same subject, or it could be favoritism in the staff room. It could be anything. But identify someone at a very high levels of discomfort. Yeah, Nisha ma'am, you could do that. Anybody for that matter, and then call them out. And when once you speak them, it allows an opportunity for both of you to talk. Maybe not something that you both are in disagreement with, but something that you can agree on, because the other person is going to feel that, oh, this she has called me, let me give her feedback, and let me give her feedback in a manner that she loses her confidence completely. But you deliberately already know that you are inviting that kind of a feedback, so that's okay. You're aware about it. It allows for better bonding. I do that in my office. Wherever I'm uncomfortable with certain people, I call them and I'm like, try to give me the feedback. Yeah. So end of the day, everybody has got their own characteristics, and that will help. It's just a extra gyan. Just don't take it. Yeah, it's my opinion. Next is feedback. Get the feedback from the right person, then replan. Again, choose the topic in a more specific manner. Small topic, reteach 5 to 10 minutes, re-feedback 5 to 10 people, not more than that. Nice, no? Now, this is micro teaching, as simple as that. How is it related to today's session? I'll let you know. For that, first of all, prepare a short lesson focusing on one teaching skill. Now we will talk about the different teaching skills right after this. Deliver it to the peers. Feedback. Receive constructive comments from peers or the supervisor, whoever it is. Replan. Improve the lesson based on feedback. Reteach. Deliver the improved lesson or version and re-feedback. Assess the improvement. Many times this happens that a teacher goes and does this in front of the HM or the coordinators or the principals. There are a lot of chance that you're going to enact to a very large extent. So what you could do is you could have 2 layers of micro teaching. First, you go and do it to a friend who's really comfortable with you. Then probably you could do something with whom you're uncomfortable with. And then probably you could do with the leaders. There are many schools, especially in the private setup, where they've got their own HR department, or they have a training and development department within the system itself. Ask these people. They'll plan the complete year for teacher training where classroom observation is one of the key aspects and micro teaching should be there. If not, today itself you go and tell them that let's do micro teaching in the school and follow these steps. It's there in the B.Ed book already. They already know about it. So each micro teaching session usually focus on one of these aspects of teaching. Shall we look into aspects of teaching? Look at this, you will like it. So the first one is skill of introduction. I would like to stop sharing the screen over here. I would like to highlight one important point from teaching perspective. Whenever we talk about any public speaking, which includes, going in front of the students and talking, that is also nothing less than a public speaking. The hook or for the people to listen to you, the first thing that you require is a grand opening. A grand opening in a manner where the students get glued and eagerly waiting for, ma'am, what's next? This grand opening cannot be good morning, students. Today we're going to learn about the topic of Newton's law and let's learn blah, blah, blah. No, it cannot be something that the students can easily guess. It has to be something very dramatic. Teachers are not in a particular class for an act. They are there in a particular class for the performance. I'll repeat it. When we get onto the stage of talking to someone, there are two things. One is act, another is performance. The moment we talk about act, it is more of uh, replicating something or something that you've learned. Performance is getting into the role itself. and that requires a lot of efforts. So the moment you get over there, you're in complete control of every air molecule that's present over there. Something like that. So the moment you get over there, you start talking, and just imagine, the moment you get inside. Good morning, students. Did you know today early in the morning when I came back, there was a car which was speeding like anything. It was about to hit a particular boy. Luckily, the car braked so hard that it was dragged from one point to another. And you would have seen the road marks. When the students are getting back, they're like, yes, ma'am, even we saw, some of us saw, there's marks over there. Basically, today's topic is you want to teach the concept of inertia. To talk about inertia, how about starting a class where you relate with the students on what really happened outside the school? Or if that didn't really happen, how about coming up with another story where something happened in the newspaper or something happened in the movie, something that you saw very latest, for you to start a particular class, what I'm actually trying to say is you need to contextualize the whole scenario. The moment you get onto the class, you can't be like, let's start with this chapter. It could be something like, have you ever? This could be one of the hook points. Did you know? You're giving them the agency to tell yes or no. Yes, ma'am, I've heard about it. What happens when a flight goes inside the clouds? The clouds look really thick. So do you really think that, the flights will get, what are we really trying to talk about? We're talking about air friction over here. We are talking about turbulence probably. So these could be some of the opening scenes where it can be defined in two words. One is act, another is performance. And whatever I'm saying is not something from my gyan. You should Google about it. So any teacher who really get into the act, yeah, you are able to relate to me. Okay, okay. Let me share my screen and get on with it. I just got carried away with that word act. Skill of introduction. So contextualization is the most important skill, and if anybody's able to do that in the first 5 to 10 minutes of your class, done. Your chapter can be over within one period if you really want to. Next is skill of questioning. Skill of questioning is another important area. Now, it seems that even in one of the sessions by CBSE, I'm forgetting the name of the professor. Maybe Bishwajit Saha sir. Somebody mentioned very nicely that when you talk about the change in the education system that you're expecting, it does not start from the content of the curriculum. It starts from the way you question. So when you say we are looking into national education policy, which is moving from rote learning to competency based education system, we are talking about this aspect of uh, a curriculum that has got competency based aspects in the book. But how do you really verify that if that's the way the students have learned? That can be done with right questioning. And that's where one of the key components, as per the CBSE rule, was let us have multiple choice questions, competency based assessment questions, where we give more importance to the distractors and not the right answer. Right answer anybody can find out, but the distractors play a more important role in giving clarity to a particular concept. And if you are able to ask a very good question, the objective of that particular curriculum is done, it's met. So what's really important is a teacher, even if you're failing on teaching certain aspects, it's completely fine, but asking the right questions at the right time is one of the greatest skill sets. And in fact, when you ask the right question at the right time, it is also proving the fact that at this particular point you need a question to be asked. It is one of the skills of a teacher to know where the child will get the doubt before even coming to the class. So for probably you planned the chapter of French Revolution and you're talking about it in the class. And in another 5 minutes, you're going to say something, and you already have that in your metacognitive skills, that exactly when I'm going to say this, the students are going to get a doubt, or you speak in a manner so that they get a doubt. Now, this is again a matter of questioning and explanation. It's a nice skill. Let me go forward. Let me go forward. We're talking about teaching skill sets over here one by one. So, skill of introduction, skill of questioning. The third area is skill of explanation. So, skill of explanation is all about concept exploration, and concept exploration can be well done through multiple methodologies. One of the key methodologies that competency based education recommends is analogies. Analogies can be really good. I remember one of the analogy told to me by my teacher. Maybe it is little stereotypical, but I kind of remember that for a very long time. Like when the photosynthesis process happens, or when it's basically a plant preparing their own food, and there are two important characters over here, xylem and phloem. So the responsibility of xylem is to get the minerals from the water, or from the roots of the plant, and take it to the place so-called kitchen, so-called the leaf on the plant, where phloem actually prepares the food using all the resources that it has and redistributes to the rest of the family members or rest of the plant. Now, this particular analogy of xylem being the father of the family to buy vegetables and fruits, bring the raw materials, and mother preparing the food and sending it back, it's a beautiful analogy which gave me clarity of what xylem and phloem is till now. So probably I might forget what xylem and phloem in reality is, but when I see my mother regularly preparing the food, I kind of remember the phloem. So somewhere what I'm indirectly trying to, you know, mention over here is skill of explanation. May one key component could be analogy. Analogy is a great art. And another thing is parallelism. Karke, there's one more concept. What people do is when you know that there is a topic that you need to explain, you create a story, a parallel story to support that particular topic. Something like there were two children in the class. Okay, they were very disciplined. There was a third boy. You can tell the names of the students. There was a third boy who was also really good at studies, but he was very naughty in the class. In order to make sure that this boy who's naughty in the class, the teacher gave a punishment saying that why don't you sit between those two boys or girls. Generally it is girls in my school. I mean, that used to be considered as a punishment. Somehow it didn't really connect, but the point is, sit between those two girls and you know learn from them. The outcome was expected something like this, that the child becomes very disciplined. He's also able to score very good marks, but unfortunately something else happened. What really happened, you can guess that. So the intention was this naughty child getting disciplined because of those two people. Unfortunately, those two people became indisciplined because of this boy. I hope you're able to understand. Now the connect comes. Now the connect comes. The teacher was expecting a symbiotic relationship between these three people. Unfortunately, it became a parasitic relationship. Are you able to understand? So symbiosis is basically mutually we all sit together, we gain from each other, we learn from each other. Parasitic is basically a parasite. It is there on the host, living on the host, exploiting the resources of the host and making sure the host is killed. Something like that. See, I mean, I'm just giving an exaggerated example. It is not really advisable to call a student a parasite or a symbiotic guy or whatever it is. But you understood the parallelism. You've got the story, main story, and parallelly there's another story running over here. So this is skill of explanation. Nice, no? So there could be a separate session by the colleagues for introduction, for questioning, for explanation, for reinforcement, probably coming under the category of revision, probably coming under the category of homework. It could be anything. Skill of reinforcement. Then skill of blackboard usage. I do not know how many of you over here in this class has this ability to use the blackboard. Um, okay, let me not ask that. There are many young people over here who don't like to use blackboard. I'm considering marker board also to be the right, in analogy with blackboard. Both are one and the same. There are some teachers who are very much inclined towards, digital boards with audio, video content, and not really much of pen and paper. I'll tell you the beautiful science. The blackboard, what exactly happens is when you say certain things in the class, did you understand? Even that. Instead of saying that, if you write it on the board, you will not believe all the children will start looking at your hands and the chalk. In fact, they'll even observe the sound of that particular chalk. Somehow, when you write something on the board, the attention comes to that one finger, not even one finger, that particular chalk, or probably the chalk dust present at the tip of it, and eh, it actually is drafting. Rather than showing an India map using Google Map on a digital board, I would still prefer a methodology where a social science teacher's draws an India map but looks like a cone ice cream. I hope you're able to understand. That cone ice cream or so-called India map can still be a better guide in understanding the rivers of the nation or probably the metropolitan cities of the nation than a Google map to a very large extent. That is my belief. I do not know how far I'm right on that. Yes, of course. Of course, I have a science background with me over here, but let me not discuss on that particular aspect. So what's really important is usage of resources. That's what I mean when I say skill of blackboard usage. There could be many other. Skill of closure. Skill of closure is how do you conclude a particular session. So when we talk about opening story, you remember we were speaking about the opening story of, hey, did you know what happened in the car, the black mark. You open the story, you start dealing with the chapter, but when you go out of the classroom, it's important for us to come back to the original story, saying, hey, did you know in the beginning of the class we started with those black marks? That is actually called as inertia. The conclusion, the closure, and you need to be aware about it. And this can happen only with micro teaching lesson plans, micro teaching preparation. Nice, no? Very simple. See, introduction, questioning, explanation, reinforce, blackboard usage, closure. Blackboard usage over here is basically the resources. That's what we are talking about. That's it. This is what we wanted to talk about today. You like blackboard? Yeah. Let's go forward. Let's go forward, Rashmi ma'am. Huh. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I have to use. There is one new word that I came across very recently called as stimulus variation. Can somebody please put it on the chat? What exactly stimulus variation? Any idea? Students will have to judge the drawing of a teacher. They'll participate. Yeah. Okay. And if you deliberately draw very bad, Sakshi ma'am, the involvement will be better. But anyways, what is stimulus variation? Okay, stimulus variation is a beautiful term. It is about a teacher's technique to modulate their teaching based on the responses of the children. I'll repeat it. It is the ability of a teacher to modulate their teaching based on the response of the students or the learners. That's called as, see, stimulus. You're getting stimulated with the response of the children or the learners, and you are articulating your words. When you're talking about a dry topic, probably, you know, probably something related to social science. But social science is an interesting subject. I do not know. Dry, I don't know. Nothing is dry. Trigonometry could be abstract, but when you're talking about it, and when you know that the children are not really paying attention, immediately you come up with a teaching technique. You probably crack a joke, or you probably start asking a question. These are actually called as micro moments in the class. We have done that in the past, right? So that particular aspect is basically called as stimulus variation. Stimulus variation could also be the colleague or the peer who is actually looking at your teaching is not really paying attention to you. They're doing something else, and at that particular moment you're like, okay, this fellow's not paying attention, let me do something about it. And you come up with some variation. So that's basically called as stimulus variation, as simple as that. Yeah, there's a huge answer, Malashmi ma'am. Yeah, 100 marks paper it is, right ma'am? 4 marks till you have answered. Good job. Yeah, change the conditioning source. Anyways, quick examples, and then we'll conclude on the session. Micro teaching skills. Skill of introduction. Start with a real life example or a question to catch students' interest. Example: Who likes pizza? Something with respect to context. Did you know it can teach us fractions? Well, according to the new NCRT books, it's not pizza. It is roti. Who likes roti? All the children will be like, no, we don't like roti. But chalega, let's talk about fractions today. Skill of questioning. Skill of questioning. Ask varied questions, factual, reasoning, open-ended questions, assertion and reasoning questions. It could be skill of re-explanation, break down concepts step by step using visuals or analogies. We spoke about it, right? Skill of reinforcement, use positive. Excellent idea, Ria. That's a smart way to think. Revision, so skill of stimulus variation, change tone, use gestures, move around, use multimedia to sustain attention. I would like to tell you something. There was a brilliant teacher who used to tell me that there is nothing called as front seat and back seat, front row and back row, nothing called as. If a teacher is continuously roaming, walking in the class while teaching, even the last bench students could be made as the first bench students. And this teacher is none other than my father. But yeah, a great technique which he follows even now. Skill of black or whiteboard usage, maintain clarity, neatness, and proper spacing. Skill of closure, summarize key points and check students' understanding before ending. More importantly, connect with the introduction. These are some of the applications in real classroom. Let's go to the next part and quickly see a small technique. 60-second strategy, math partners. Now, this could be a method to imbibe micro teaching among the students, where one student is allowed to teach another student, but it's more like partnership. I would like to play this video. This is by Edutopia. So all credits goes to them for making such a beautiful video. I would like to play this and close on the video.
Today's problem of the day. How many pumpkins are green? Remember, you do not need to panic. You will talk with your partner. Math Partners is a strategy that I use daily. I want them to be able to not only get an answer, but explain how they got that answer. The first step is they work to solve the problem on their own, and then they discuss it with a partner.
So I got 8 plus 3 plus 5 equals 16.
They have talking stems. Do I agree or disagree with you? How did you solve this? And how can you prove your answer's correct? They'll find out, hey, I did it a different way, but yet they still got the same answer. Then we come back together and I ask for someone who feels like they can teach it to the class, because that's what math is about, being able to explain the steps they took to solve the problem.
So then I added on 5 more and I got to 16.
So that's with respect to the 60-second strategy where the students are allowed to do micro teaching. It's a different approach. It's altogether about not to check if the students can, learn the concept or not. It's more about, allowing the teachers, students to talk among each other, imbibing the quality of communication, teamwork a little bit. So it's not directly related to the topic as such, but subconsciously you are getting into that. So let me show you one more. Let me Micro teaching techniques in the classroom could be applying to small group of students, very less number of students, and they can, one group you can go and talk about questioning, the other group you can divide them into small groups, applying right after the conduction of a chapter. So, or a concept, a small concept right after the chapter. Let's do one questioning round, let's do one reinforcement round, let's do one, can somebody please come to the board and describe what you have learned, something like that. Applying the techniques to smaller groups of students. This point is getting repeated. I'm so sorry for that. Applying the pedagogical approaches to different groups of students as per their learning skill sets. Micro teaching, if it is applied with the students, is also an advantage where depending on different type of learners, you can go to each group and train them on their own learning style. Probably one team you can use technology. You need not have technology for the other group. The other group you can probably go and guide the students only with the questioning techniques. So rather than having your colleagues to validate that your teaching is really good, you can directly try that with your students also. This is one of the method. Applying the concept of micro teaching by the students. The 60-second strategy, what you saw, it is by the students. Many teachers come up with this fantastic idea where the same class or a higher class students comes and teaches the students in the lower class. This improves their soft skills to a very large extent, even if it doesn't guarantee a good teaching on the concept. Technology components that could be utilized for getting into micro teaching could be Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a short video making. So you can actually conduct a class, you can record the video, and you can share it in the WhatsApp group of your colleagues and ask their feedback. It could be YouTube shorts as well. You have to teach the concept of trigonometry within 30 seconds. How will you do that? So micro teaching again coming into with YouTube shorts. Snapchat Snap. I'm not sure how many of you use this, but just with the picture, you can communicate a very deep concept, and that's becoming trending in the form of memes, so-called science memes, and a few more. So anything that's micro for a small group in a small time is micro teaching. And then coming to the next point, finally, let me stop sharing the screen. When we talk about micro teaching in the school, it is one of the key components that every principal, every HM should make sure that at least monthly once, I'll repeat it, at least monthly once, every teacher gets an opportunity to present a particular topic to every other teacher in the school. An annual day function where a teacher is conducting an annual day is like, that could be a form of, micro teaching to a very large extent. However, that's just from the validation of how skillful that person is in event organizing, which is in a very broad spectrum. Same thing we are doing at a very small level in specific to the topic of a particular subject. So that's ultimately micro teaching. I hope you got the point, teachers. That brings me to the end of the session today, and to give you the clarity on what exactly micro teaching is. So I would like to meet you again with another Super Sunday workshop with another interesting topic, just like the way we started with talking to the colleagues where you're uncomfortable with, can be a good method to start off with. We also understood the concept of micro teaching need not be only for the teachers, it could be with the students as well. It can be a lab rotation model also, which we did not discuss much about, and it could be any strategy. That's it. So for today's week, I hope you got to understand what exactly micro teaching is, and many of the teachers who are there into B.Ed will already know about it. Next week, we'll get into another interesting topic called as Waldorf education system, a beautiful education system where spirituality comes into picture. What exactly we are talking about, we'll come to know in the next Super Sunday workshop. So Waldorf education system will be uploaded and updated on the superteacher.in website by today or tomorrow. You can click on register. Yes, Preeta ma'am. You can click on register and get the Zoom link for the next Super Sunday workshop. Thank you so much, teachers. Great interacting with one and all. I would like to meet you again in the next Super Sunday workshop. Until then, Jai Hind. Reflection form is coming on the chat. I'm sharing the presentation right away on the Zoom chat as well as the YouTube chat. Okay, we go to share option. I know everybody knows. We click on restricted, anyone with the link, with the viewing option. We click on copy link. We go to the chat. We say micro teaching skills and we go with 133 session. Place the link right over here and give it to you. That's it. Thank you so much, teachers. Great interacting with one and all. Bhavna ma'am, thank you. Mangala ma'am, thank you. Sulaja ma'am, thank you so much. Ajita ma'am, thank you. Thank you so much. Raki ma'am, thank you. Thank you, everyone, teachers. I'd like to meet you in the next Super Sunday workshop. Until then, bye, everyone. Spend time with your family. Have a Super Sunday. Sunday is complete, right, Dolly ma'am? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Usha ma'am.